Hey there, everyone. It's almost time for a new Mythic hero to be unveiled. So we're going to go through a couple of options that I think might be up on the block this time around, and some reasoning kind of behind that. Granted, we're kind of in the dark in a lot of things, and so some of the reasonings that I have are going to be a bit of a stretch, but bear with me, and I think we might be able to try and decipher something that might happen. Also, potential spoiler alert for some of the background on some of the characters that you see under the candidate slot, because I'm going to talk a little bit about them and why they might make a good fit for this particular Mythic hero this time around. So, let's go ahead and get into it. First off, we have to talk about the fact that March does not have a green hero. If you saw my Legendary Hero Watch series that goes up around the beginning of the month, or usually a couple days right after the most recent Legendary banner, you will know that we have Ryoma, Lucina, Azura, and Air coming back this time around. Now what makes that interesting is we don't have a green hero, and that means the Mythic hero that's up is going to likely be green. Or we're just not going to have a legendary mythic green representation. But that's super unlikely and would not be logical at all. So, it's going to be green. That much is true. The downside is that there's a lot of green options, right? Dagger, tome, bow, dragon. There's a lot of things that green units could be. Axe even. Could be an axe. I don't know. So, we're going to go through some of the options, and you might notice that they are all dragons. There's a bit of a theme this time around. I got into a wiki hole, and I think you all know, if you've ever got onto a wiki page, and then you just start clicking links, and you just start going down these rabbit holes, or in this case, dragon holes, you'll soon find yourself not quite right anymore. And that's pretty much what happened to me. So, that said, first up on the block we have Mila. Now, Mila, if you're not familiar, is from Shadows of Valentia, or just you know, the Gaiden games, I guess. Either way, the remake of Shadows of Valentia, she's in both. She is the sister of Duma, who we just had, not but 2 months back. And she is very, very green. She's very, very green. If you've seen a picture of her, you know what she looks like, then you know that her clothing, her hair, everything about her is very green. And if there were going to be a green dragon, it would make a lot of sense to be Mila, to be honest. And it's not just the coloring either. She's known as the Earth Mother, and you know, her blessing helps grow crops and things like that. So I'm just assuming, if we were going by color in some weird fashion, that Mila would typically be green. That's just where I'm at. It doesn't have to be green. Again, dragons can pretty much be any color stone, but I feel like the theme of green dragon would fit Mila pretty darn well, and so for that reason alone, she's a pretty good candidate. She was also, you know, her brother was just up as a mythic hero as well. And so for that reason, I feel like she would obviously be a pretty decent choice to follow. Might be a little bit on the nose being this soon after, but, you know, we had Legendary Lyn and Hector back-to-back, and we've had heroes doing pairings like that before. Marth and Tiki is another example. So we've had units on the legendary side kind of go back-to-back in terms of pairings and things like that. So I feel like Mila isn't necessarily a bad option. It could be her. I don't know. Do I think a green Dragonstone, given all the other weapon options that we have, is kind of a cop-out? Yeah, a little bit. But it makes a lot of sense. Now, next we have Loptus, or Loptir. I'm not super familiar with him because he is actually from Genealogy of the Holy War. He is a Jugdral, Jugdral. I can never say that right the first time. So he is a dark god of the Earth Dragon tribe, and genuinely kind of feel like we might be seeing someone from Jugdral just because there is a new banner that's coming, and with Roy and the Binding Blade banner that just happened, I think what they might try and do is after this Mythic banner, they'd introduce a banner from the same game, and we might be kind of due for another Jugdral banner. So it would make sense if we had one, and Loptis is pretty much about as bad as they can get. He is one of the Earth Dragon as well. Earth Dragons, pretty bad dudes. throwing that off the cuff, just in general, just know that. He is a dark god, and I know that doesn't necessarily mean a lot, but grasping at just about anything here, you can see we've got. Here, let me bring this up real quick. We recently received both Dark and Astra blessings, and what I think is interesting about that is we hadn't gotten any before, and these were just rewards recently from Ether Raids. And before, we had just been getting the blessing that was either in season, and that has changed for whatever reason. So I think more than likely we're going to be looking at either a Dark or Astra, and Loptis would be obviously a really good candidate for Dark. Now again, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. We've had some interesting dark gods, as it were. Robin is a pretty good example, where Grima is a thing, and you know, definitely not dark. That was not the blessing that that Fell Robin got, or Legendary Robin got. But Grima is still very, very much in that animation, nevertheless. So, again, I don't know if we can really go by the blessing to be sure, but it would be a slight indication that we might be seeing that. And, you know, again, it's Jugdral. We might be seeing a Jugdral banner soon. It would make sense if that were the case, and I don't know. It just feels like it would make a lot of sense. The other indication is that we've had dark dragons like Fell Robin, for example, who is a green dragon, also an armor unit. And if we get another armored dragon unit, I don't know what I'm going to do. Probably cry a little inside. But speaking of other dragons that nobody asked about, Medeus. Medeus is another dragon, another earth dragon. He's like the main protagonist in Mars stories, basically. Just, you know, just overall pretty bad dude. I'm generally just going to define him. He took on human form to avoid basically extinction, for lack of better phrasing, and I don't know. This theme with Earth Dragons makes a lot of sense for me to have them be green Dragonstone units. Medeus, obviously, pretty godlike. He is the Earth Dragon Prince, I think, is what his crowning title is. So, you know, he is royalty. He is technically a god, kind of. It would make a lot of sense that we get him in the game at some point. I would be very surprised if we didn't. So for that reason alone, he's a pretty good candidate altogether. And again, coupled with the fact that we're likely getting an Astra or Dark, maybe the blessing would maybe make sense. I don't know. There's really not a whole lot to go on this time around. And then lastly, we've got Nagi. Now, Nagi is always going to be up on my recommendations because Nagi could probably fit just about any role. She's kind of exclusive to the Shadow Dragon game. Now, the reason why I say this is if we were getting Naga, or Naga, if I say it normally, Naga is the Dragon of Light. Like, that's how she's known. So if she's not a light blessing, I don't know what to say about that. So going off of the blessings for a little bit, I feel like Naga would likely be a colorless dragon. We have Tikis, who are blue and red. Legendary Tiki is a blue dragonstone. Regular Tikis, adult and child, I believe, are both red. So this might kind of swerve out the pattern a bit, because we would have a green kind of Tiki. Nagi is kind of like the reincarnation of Naga, but she's also maybe kind of seen as like an alternate version of Tiki. It gets a little confusing, but the long and the short is Nagi might be kind of like Tiki, and having a green kind of Tiki would round out the Dragonstone representations of Tiki, including the inevitable Naga that we will definitely get at some point. I'm not feeling super confident about Nagi, just because we've had a decent chunk of legendary heroes on that end for Shadow Dragon recently, and so because of that, I feel like we're probably not getting that. More than likely, I think my headspace is probably Loptis or Mila. That's kind of where I'm at. And again, I think that's mainly because when we have the new hero banner that starts on the 10th of April, this banner, Mythic banner, is going to be ending relatively soon after, or soon before rather. So I think they might kind of do a lead-in the same way that they did with Legendary Roy and the Binding Blade banner, and I feel like we're kind of due for new heroes from those two particular games. Medeus could be an option too. I don't know who they'd add from Shadow Dragon, but I might just have Medeus on the head because I'm about to finish Shadow Dragon on Twitch, live streamed it on the weekends, but I don't know. Anything is possible. Again, it's a green unit. It could be somebody from the 8 Legends as well. I thought about, thinking about the Astra. Astra has been a weapon in Fire Emblem. It's shown up as a lance, it's shown up as a bow, and it's shown up as a sword. And that kind of got me thinking, well, what about a green bow? Like, that might be a thing. And they have Astra, like, I don't know, maybe Hanon's bow, who is one of the 8 Legends, but then Molagir is actually the weapon that he had, and Molagir is actually what Legendary Lyn has, and so it's kind of already in the game, so that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. More than likely, I think we're probably going to be seeing a dragon of some kind. If not, maybe a green tome. I don't know. It's vexing. Maybe they'll introduce green staff. Maybe that's a thing. Maybe we're getting colored staff units, and we're just about to get pranked real hard. I don't know. But either way, those are the options that I think we're more than likely going to be seeing. Again, I think it's kind of a cop-out if it does end up being a dragon of some kind, just because that is a pretty easy slot to fill, and we just literally had one. So, not sure how to feel about that. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Let me know who you think we're going to be seeing on the upcoming Mythic banner. Again, I think it goes live on the 29th on the West Coast, 30th on the East Coast for people such as myself. So we got a couple days. So let's have a little bit of fun and speculate in the meantime. Thank you so much for watching. Again, comments down below, and I will catch you next time.